Good afternoon. Happy Friday. It's glad to be here once again, talking a little bit about some of the accomplishments this week in finance and IT. A few shout outs this week. I know that Lori Leal did a fantastic job this week working on some real tight timelines related to payroll. There was a lot of complicated issues going on in terms of changes with SLOPSOA and the agreements that we recently made, and I want to thank her for her effort. She has been and continues to demonstrate a lot of the qualities that we want from city employees, and particularly members of the finance and IT team. She clearly is committed to organizational excellence and committed to making sure that we honor our city employees, making sure they get paid, and she's done a great job dealing with all the complexities. And this payroll in particular was challenging because we had in the middle of it a holiday, which is going to be something that we're going to be having the next couple go around. So I want everyone to be diligent on deadlines and making sure we get our time cards in, because they make a big difference in Lori's life. Speaking about deadlines, one of the things I've asked Marjorie to take a look at in concert with the rest of the team, and Lynn and Vilma, is what are the deadlines that we need to be communicating to the other departments. I think we want to provide fantastic service to all the other service departments, and to that extent, how can we be clear about our deadlines and be clear about when deadlines are not met in terms of submitting checks to be paid or for revenue to be received. What does that mean, and why those deadlines are important for us in terms of managing the workload and managing people's expectations. So we've made some progress this last week on that front, and I look forward to meeting with the analyst group later this month and talking a little bit about the GFOA update, the budget, but in particular areas where we could use departmental support in making sure we're giving them the level of support that they want. Speaking of GFOA, and we've gotten a lot of feedback in the last couple of weeks, and I want to appreciate everyone for participating in kind of the naming process of our Smart and Healthy exercise for working on our improvement effort in finance and IT. I think overall what the name that's sticking with folks is Go Fit. It kind of resonates with me in a lot of ways. If you this month's Slow What, I've written an article about teams in sports, and I just like the whole Go Fit. It actually came up a few times in terms of suggestions. And so on the Go Fit era effort, next week on Monday and Tuesday, Mike Mucha and Barry McKeon will be back, and they're spending a full 2 days with the department going through accounts, chart of accounts, billing information, going through our bank reconciliation process. Those three items will essentially be the bulk of Tuesday. And then on Monday, and then on Tuesday, they'll be spending the day going through budget, spending time with Vilma, Lynn, Lori, and Nicole Sutter, going through payroll, and then going through purchasing and accounts payable. So they've got a pretty big lineup set up for those days, and I do appreciate everyone taking the time to meet with them, because I think it's really important that we give them the full, complete picture of what's happening within the department, what's happening outside the department, where people feel there's an opportunity for improvement. What are the systems that support our effort? Where do we have procedures? Where do we not have procedures? And be as candid with them as possible. I want everyone to know that we have the greatest trust in the people here, and at this point I'm just looking, and I think everyone is committed to the tools and making sure people have the resources and the time to get the job done right. And really now this is the time to speak to the experts so they can give us the feedback about what are the best practices that we need to be implementing here at the city to help us with making sure we're as efficient as effective here in finance and IT. So I want to thank everyone for their time. A little summary this week on what happened at the City Council meeting. We had a couple of introductions of some new key people at the city. Exandria Fallow, the new Deputy Director with Long Range Planning, who stepped in for Kim Murray, was introduced. Zena came and was introduced. And she came along with her whole family. Well, most of them. Her husband Randall came, and her two daughters Natasha and Sonia showed up, and they had matching dresses and pretty shoes, and they looked beautiful. And hopefully, you had the opportunity to see them romping around the office beforehand, because it was really fun, I think, and lightened up the office day to have a couple kids running around. That night, the meeting got into the business swing of things, and the council took action on a few items. They levied the T-bid assessment for the next fiscal year. They authorized some changes to landscape standards related to drought. They decided to not move forward with the council compensation committee at this time. And then the council decided to postpone the 5-year police department strategic plan to March 15th, 2016. The item that took the bulk of the evening was related to a planting of a deodar cedar over in Mission Plaza. And I do want to just thank the Public Works Department. They took the initiative. They responded to community input, which was, hey, we don't want to chop down a tree every year and spend a lot of money putting in a temporary tree in Mission Plaza for the holiday festivities. And so let's plant one in the plaza. Ultimately, the City Council, based upon some public input and a feeling that we should finish the Mission Plaza master plan, decided that let's go ahead and move that tree after the holiday season to another park location, and then we'll figure out, where to plant a tree in the future. I think Council was supportive, liked the idea, and felt that we really needed to reach out to the community and do a little work on the Mission Plaza master plan before we decided its overall location. Looking ahead, what do we have for the 17th? We've got a closed session on labor negotiations beginning at 4 o'clock. And then on the regular calendar, we've got discussion of the Cal Poly Master Plan, which I spoke about last week. And we have an authorization for a RFP for slow transit and maintenance. So this is, we've exhausted the time limits and contract extensions with our transit provider. And so we're putting this out to RFP. And then moving to December 1st, and I'll just talk a little bit about some of the big items. One, we have the Water Resources Status Report, and that's going along with a proposed pre-annexation agreement for Fierro Lane. And this is really an interim step to bring that area into the city and eventually provide them interim service until we can go through the full annexation process. Later that night, we've got an appeal of a single-family home over on Buena Vista. And then we move into a report by the police department on implementing items for the civility report, and then entering into a key agreement with one of our community partners, the Slow Railroad Museum, having to do with improvements and just the operations over at their facility off of Santa Barbara Street. One of the things I want to close on today is we will be doing a lot of work in the upcoming weeks, not only on the technical and the smart side, but on the healthy side. And I really want to acknowledge and appreciate how receptive people have been to entering into that type of dialogue. I think ultimately to engage in team exercise and talk about trust and talk about conflict and talk about commitment requires us ultimately to be, vulnerable. And, my job as the leader for the finance and IT department is really about creating a safe environment for the team. And so that you can step in and feel safe and having those conversations. And so in full confidence that what we're hearing is your genuine feelings and your professional belief about how to make the team stronger, how to make us a better department, and make us a better organization. And we can't do that unless you trust us. And I want you to know that you have the full backing from me, the full backing from the city manager, that we want to hear what you have to say about how to make this department better, and you have our commitment that we'll be doing everything we can to implement the recommendations that come out from not only the GFOA, but the recommendations about how can we take care of each other as teammates, and how can we take care of each other in terms of making sure we have a healthy environment and people are focused on clear objectives and on outcomes that are a benefit of the city. I'll just close with this. One of the quotes that I have in a lot of the books that I read about teams is one from Patrick Lencioni, which is really, trust is knowing that when a team member does push you, they're doing it because they care about the team. And so I hope when you're feeling pushed over the next couple weeks and giving your feedback that it's about the team and doing what's best for the city, and I'll appreciate all of your help in that aspect. Have a great, safe weekend, and let's hope for some rain on Sunday, and looking forward to a wonderful next week. I'm going to be out on Monday and Tuesday. My sister's coming into town with a new baby, and then I'll be back after the holiday on Thursday, and then Vilma and I are going to try to get some documents out. So see you next Thursday, and again, enjoy the weekend.